crazy, man. Wow. This looks way better than I remember it looking. That's because like I said, I ran through this multiple times on the PS2. And then when Double Agent came out, and so I actually skipped the first. I didn't skip. I missed the first. Yes, and the night vision, that old sound effect. Yes. Man, I miss the old Splinter Cell. Well, looks like once again I was kind of right on the money of what I was thinking about. So, Splinter Cell Remake begins development at Ubisoft Toronto. Now, I could read through this whole thing here, but here's what we're gonna do. First of all, we're gonna watch the brand new trailer for Splinter Cell Remake. Well, this is a development documentary on the beginnings of it. So let's check this out first, and then we'll if there's any new information in the article, we'll check that out afterwards, and I'll give my thoughts on everything. Yeah, let's just jump into it.
Splinter Cell is back. Ubisoft Toronto has begun work on a remake of Sam Fisher's most classic operations, and with the series return on the horizon, it's the perfect time to look back at the game that started it all.
So they're going to reboot it.
What the hell? I'm going to ask you some questions. When I think you're lying, I'll do this.
Boy, I don't know.
Who do you work for?
Splinter Cell launched back in 2002, a time when Ubisoft was best known as the company that made Rayman, a bright and colorful platform.
Remember those days?
Splinter Cell was not that.
I was a big fan of Rayman. It was a dark
and serious stealth action game that favored slow, methodical movements over frantic action. And no one was quite sure how fans would react.
Maybe it's better if I didn't see anything.
To find out more about the development of that first game and the lasting effects it had, we spoke to some of the folks that helped launch the original Splinter Cell and some that are helping to bring it back.
Sam Fisher. I can't believe you beat me here.
I like to be early.
Lambert?
The very first time we really understood that we had a hit in our hands is, I guess, when we were talking to Microsoft. Like, we had that feeling, that gut feeling, but it wasn't validated by anything, and we never had a hit before at Ubisoft, like not a big one like that. When Microsoft came to us and looked at it, they knew also something was up, and they were considering it for their E3 showcase at the time for showing off the Xbox. And it was super scary for us because we're like, how are people going to react? We don't know, because it's very dark. Is it going to come through nicely on the screen? Is it going to show off its colors?
The feedback we received from E3 was so incredible, so it just gave us a huge push to.
So at the time, I'm not going to pause this too many times through, but at the time when Splinter Cell was being shown off, everything was more or less like World War II. Big, explosions everywhere. It's daytime, running through, tanks and this and that and the other thing. And the only other game that was really like Splinter Cell was like a Hitman at the time, where it was like more stealth. You're kind of operating from the shadows and such. I mean, this is the days before Assassin's Creed was thought of. This is the days before really Ghost Recon was really taken off. And even now, like Ghost Recon is a little more Splinter Cell than what it started out as being, because even Ghost Recon was totally like military shoot 'em up kind of action going on. So yeah, I remember the days of of Rayman and running around, like the open world maps and everything that was going on then. Maybe that was even before. I guess 2001 would have been like Rayman, the side scroller Raymans even. So this was an ambitious project for sure.
To get things done and get this game to the level of the expectations.
Probably for E3 and for our competitors and for for players at large, it probably came out of nowhere.
There was this whole, who is Ubisoft? It was a transformation of what Ubisoft could do and how they.
I feel like people really knew
that
who
was very
Ubisoft
special
was.
because at that time at Ubisoft Montreal, we were producing games, but we were not in a AAA mindset
Yes.
at that time.
Yes.
And this game became somehow a great inspiration.
We definitely knew who
from the
Ubisoft
teams.
was.
And from that
we all
moment,
knew the logo.
when Splinter Cell did release with a very cool feedback and nice reviews and nice popularity as well, this has been an incredible trigger for the whole studio to reach for this level of achievement for other games.
I think it'd be more or less on the thing of like consumer side. Like even back then, me being really young, I knew what the logo was. I know if that logo is on the box, the game's probably going to be really cool. It was the sub, like Ubisoft Toronto, Ubisoft Montreal, Quebec or whatever. I didn't know that. And I think that's the one thing that I love. I think people still don't realize there's multiple game studios underneath one umbrella of, subsidiary studios, I guess you could, or, developers A, developers B, developers C. Because people don't pay attention. They don't read credits and such. They don't figure out who voice actors are a lot of times.
But what exactly was it that drew in audiences at that E3?
And like
what did
good
Splinter Cell
producers
do that set it apart
games.
from the crowd? The answer, as it turns out, was pretty black and white.
Light, shadow.
Yep.
It's instantly relatable and instantly something that
It's such a tool you can play around with too.
People
in
pay
game
attention because they have never seen such amazing visuals at first. That whole shadow and light was beautiful.
It was
and
very
was
easy
in
to
dimension
register it
that
with
they
the
had
player
never
of like,
played
oh,
with.
I'm in the
it had to
shadows,
do
I'm in
with
the
the
light.
Xbox
I can
and
shoot
the
out
ability
those
of the
lights to
Xbox
create more
render
shadows.
These dynamic lights with dynamic shadows and dynamic real-time shadows.
Yes.
And it was really the ambition of the team early on to push the visual fidelity of the game.
Technology's always been trying to
as
keep
far
up with
as we
Splinter
could.
Cell. That's
The
why I
way
liked it
art
more.
and level design had to work together to deal with
The controls,
how
though.
dynamic lights would affect the gameplay as well as the visuals was probably one of the biggest challenges of development.
It was one of those times where a game came out and just really had a brilliant presentation that was so critical for the actual design itself. So you can only imagine how exciting that would have been for the team.
The first time we saw the fish tanks that you could shoot the fish tanks and the water would lower down with the stream and down to the level of the bullet hole, and then it would stop, and you could keep shooting it and lowering it. Little tweaks like that, little surprises that people just found the time and the energy to put in to add the polish and the care to the game.
Little details go a long way. I know I said I wasn't going to pause this, and I keep pausing it over and over again. But one of the things that actually separates this from a Metal Gear Solid, and really a lot of times games media would try and pit this versus Metal Gear Solid, and it's like it's kind of two different things. Metal Gear Solid a lot of time was like a top down, like the camera's way out here. Splinter Cell, it's over your shoulder. Yes, they're both stealth games at heart, but it's two very different perspectives on which way they're going. I think they're both great. They both do their thing. I always like the over the shoulder just because I like a little more of the cinematic. I like to feel like I'm inside the level. Like VR is kind of VR gameplay is more or less like what my dream of gaming would go to. And then Metal Gear Solid feels more like it feels more like a traditional video game of like the camera's way out here, so it feels more like a NES, a Nintendo game or a Sega game or something of those old classic style where you're side scrolling, the camera's out here. So to me, it's like Splinter Cell brought to the table something very different, which was you're inside the game world, you're inside the action because the camera is right there. You could say it was because Resident Evil 4 was the big thing of bringing the camera in so close. Man, Splinter Cell was doing it before that.
That was great.
I remember thinking to myself, I was super blown away by the tech advances that were part of that game, the stencil shadows and the moving cloth and the thermal goggles and all of the stuff. And I just remember thinking to myself, how that was even possible at the time.
Thermals.
Visually, it was amazing.
Instantly switching your
light
camera.
Effects were remarkable, ahead of anything else that was being done at the time. But it was even more than that.
The use and exploitation of
truly
light and
was.
shadow set Splinter Cell apart from its competitors.
Also the AI
But it
manipulation.
would take more than that to deliver on the development team's promise.
Using
a promise
those
they felt
shadows
so
and lighting.
strongly about, They put it right on the box art.
Stealth action redefined was born out of the fact that this was a challenge to the god of tactical espionage action, which was Metal Gear Solid.
There it is.
Was really the mission that
I wasn't sure if they were going to go into that.
It was, okay, if we're going to take espionage, if we're going to take stealth action, how are we going to position that in a way that fits the Tom Clancy brand values as well?
We had Rainbow Six. Redstone was working on Ghost Recon. Those were obvious Tom Clancy games. But Splinter Cell came from Montreal. And Montreal wasn't working on Tom Clancy.
Again, those other games, I feel like they're different.
We looked at
they're more
fantasy.
military than like Spec Ops.
Realism and the techno-thriller aspect of it. We figured that would perfectly fit.
It's a different flavor of combat.
Back then, there was a lot of a lot of games that were very kind of heavy on just shoot, kill, be done. That's how you get through these situations. Splinter Cell made you slow down. It made you think. It made you kind of try to understand the threats that were ahead of you, and it layered
true
all those
stealth
features together. And it rewarded players for.
It's not just run in and shoot everything up. It's actually truly stealthful.
The way that they chose to solve those situations.
The idea of
everything's
being
a puzzle.
The one who can make the difference, who can go into those places that no one's supposed to be able to go to, and do what no one's supposed to be able to do. That's an incredibly powerful fantasy, and it's a lot of fun to be that person.
We used an actor that was a recognized person. That was new at the time.
Michael Ironside.
Anybody have a line back to third echelon?
I'm here, Fisher.
What the hell's going on?
Nicolad's just declared.
We need
war
Michael
on the
Ironside
US.
back.
What?
Now it's something that a lot of people do, a lot of game publishers.
Yeah.
It's kind of normal. But
Keanu
at the time, it
Reeves.
wasn't. And we really looked
Norman
at it like,
Reedus.
first it was a Clancy brand, so we looked at it like something bigger than just a video game, marketed it that way, and created a persona.
Big
Sam's
shout
a
out to those
great
guys too.
character.
They did a great job.
He's
in their
smart,
respective
he's
games.
funny, he's fast, he does what he can do with a minimum of waste. He's high speed, low drag, and he's just an incredibly fun character to play.
While Sam is unequivocally the star of the Splinter Cell franchise, let's be honest, he'd get nowhere without his signature night vision goggles. Not only are they an essential tool in Sam's arsenal, they're the symbol of the entire franchise. Those 3 green dots and that iconic sound, yep, that sound is enough to know exactly what game you're dealing with.
The sound came in very late, and I think that we didn't realize how important and valuable it was until someone said, we really got to have a much more iconic sound in here somewhere. And it had this kind of very military feel to it. We were trying to create something that felt very realistic and modern. And
where'd you get it
just
from?
because of the speed at which technology moves, it kind of became its own thing in time, and it adhered to sort of the genuineness of it and kind of stuck.
19 years ago, Splinter Cell put Ubisoft on the map and changed the landscape for stealth action games across the industry. Now, thanks to the upcoming remake, a brand new generation can experience the best Splinter Cell has to offer. For future updates on the Splinter Cell remake, follow this channel and visit us at news.ubisoft.com.
So, are they going to let us know? There it is. Oh, that's cool. Very cool. Okay, so let's jump in and see exactly what this is in 1 second. There we go. Had to tone down the brightness on my camera. It's very bright. Okay, so Ubisoft greenlit. Let's make this a little bit bigger here. Ubisoft greenlit development. That would draw Rich Cavsa, the brand led by Ubisoft Toronto. The game will be rebuilt from the ground up using Ubisoft's Stay Put. Damn thing. Snowdrop Engine. The same engine being developed for Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. Well, Ubisoft's upcoming Star Wars games. Oh, okay. So they have a new proprietary engine, which, in all honesty, that's a good thing. That can be a very, very good thing. Like the Resident Evil engine and the what the hell was the latest game? There was another game that we just seen and it worked really well. It was a next gen game and worked really well on the PS4. I can't even think of what the hell it was. But yes, like proprietary engines when they make in-house engines, I mean they're still built and based upon like an Unreal Engine, this and that and the other thing. Oh, that's what it was, Unreal Engine, right? But yes, the scalability of those proprietary engines is huge, because then it lets the games run optimally on any system that it goes on. Like RE Engine is a great example of an engine that you can build pretty much anything on it, and it runs really well, and you can optimize it really well for everything. Because you're not just having one engine that spans across everything. You have something that is built specifically for those projects. So then the developers can fine tune it in the ways that they need to. So to deliver new generation of visuals and gameplay and dynamic lighting and shadows. This is going to be a long video. I'm going to say it right now. This video is going to be going long, probably about halfway through, because I also want to go into what Splinter Cell needs to be and what Ubisoft needs to do. I did just recently streamed going back to Splinter Cell Chaos here. You can find it on the YouTube channel. And I think it's up on the YouTube channel right now. I can't remember actually if I put it up there or not. But yes, I definitely noticed the controls need to be changed. They need to keep Michael Ironside. He's too good as Sam Fisher, unless they can bring somebody in that is very similar. A new Sam Fisher is going to be very hard to. I mean, they tried it before with Blacklist. It didn't work. So they already had Michael Ironside work on Ghost Recon games. So if they. Okay, where's the development on this? So find out, spoke with 3 developers, how we approach Splinter Cell as a remake, what makes it a remake and not a remaster. Okay, so this is going to be huge right here. To me, a remake takes what you do in a remaster and it goes a little bit further with it, yes. The original Splinter Cell has a lot that was amazing, revolutionary at the time, but it came out almost 20 years ago. The gaming public has now even more refined palette. Very true. So I think it kind of has to be a remake as opposed to a remaster. So my money is they're calling this a remake. Okay. It's not a remaster, and they get so confused on remakes and remasters and everything. This is going to be a remake. This is not going to be GTA Definitive Edition. This is not going to be. This is probably going to be more on the lines of like it's not going to be Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy or a Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Although Call of Duty Modern Warfare is actually a remake, it's not a remaster. So it actually probably is going to be more like Call of Duty Modern Warfare or a. Oh Jesus! What's the other ones? Final Fantasy VII remake, Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes. It's going to be more on that level. So it's going to be somewhat of a remakes, retelling the story. It's going to be somewhat of kind of probably like a reboot of sorts. Sam Fisher might be old in this. He might be young. That's going to be another. This is what we need to read to find out. Okay. Although we're still in the very earliest stages of development, so they are just alpha testing right now. They're prototyping stuff to try and figure out so they've been building a new engine in the background. No. Snowdrop Engine's been being used for a few different projects. Give me a second. I need to look something up. Okay. So Snowdrop Engine, proprietary game engine, as I said, software framework, blah, 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 blah. Yes, we know. Created by Massive Entertainment. So the Swedish Department of and Ubisoft. Okay, so yeah, third-party studio created the Snowball engine that Ubisoft is now using licensing for all of their games. It's available on every single system because it's very scalable. So which games have they been using? Yes, so Division was the first one. I remember seeing the Snowball engine pop up. I was like, oh, interesting. Ubisoft is making their own engine now. So Division 2, Rocksmith Plus works really well with it. But you can go anywhere from Rocksmith. X Defiant I have had hands-on with, and I can tell you it runs very smooth. I can't say much about it because I'm underneath NDA. I will just say if you like Call of Duty, keep your eyes on X Defiant. I'll just say that. I'm not quite sure if they'll get mad at me for saying that, but I can definitely tell you that the snowball drop, the Snowdrop Engine is working very smooth. It's actually optimizing very well for both PC and console, and it is actually. It's impressive to see what they're doing with it, the stuff that they can actually create with it. So if Splinter Cell Remake is on that engine, that's very cool. The Star Wars game too. I'm very interested to see what Ubisoft's take on a Star Wars game is. We've seen a lot of EA's take. Let's get some different blood in there. The Settlers, I don't know what the hell that is, but Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. Oh, there's a new Avatar game coming out. That's right too. We saw that like last year, year before, something like that. I forget when, but we've seen something on that. Anyways, so yes, the Snowball Engine. They are just. I mean, they're still working with it. It's probably going to be a specific version of the engine that's being built for a Splinter Cell remake. Okay, now back over to this. Early developments, we're trying to make sure that the spirit of early games remain intact in all ways. Gave us early Splinter Cell its identity, which means lots of, working in the dark to serve the light. So as we're building it from the ground up, we're going to update it visually, as well as some of the design elements to match player comfort and expectations. And we are going to keep it linear like the original games. Yes! Not make it open world. That's awesome. So right there is a very, very good sign that this is going to actually come out being like the original Splinter Cell games. There was somebody that I seen on YouTube that I watch frequently of a certain channel. I'm not going to name drop anybody, but they were saying pretty much you don't want Ubisoft making a Splinter Cell game. You can look it up. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And I was like, well, I agree with where they are coming from, but we have seen that there is instances where you can actually like Capcom, if they go back and retell the story of Resident Evil, they can easily screw up a 20-year-old saga that's been going on. Final Fantasy VII Remake was very ballsy in like doing what they did with their storyline, but also then you have something that's like, man, are we ever going to get another Crash Bandicoot? And then all of a sudden Crash Bandicoot 4 comes out and it actually is doing a very good job at continuing the story into a fourth entry. So it's very possible that this could come out very, very good. It's very possible it could come out very, very bad. We don't know until they actually, you got to give them a chance to get their stuff, made to really be able. I can't judge anything until I get hands on or at least see a trailer of what the story is entailing. I do have my own little thing though, and we'll go into it. So we're building it from the ground up. We're going to update it visually as well as some design. Yeah. So being built from the ground up just means that they're going to be given a modern day take on the controls. They're updoing lighting, so then the lighting techniques are going to be way better. The visuals, ray tracing, higher frame rates. It's gonna look, sound, and feel way better all the way around. That's what building it from the ground up is actually meaning. It's not that they're changing everything. It's just that they're going to reference everything. And if we're very lucky, Michael Madsen will come in. Michael Madsen. Oh no, and the name it just went whoop right out of my head. Jeez. Michael Ironside, sorry. Michael Ironside is going to come in, and he's going to hopefully help them, re-record lines if need be, or record new lines if need be. I think he's pretty well on board with playing Sam Fisher still, because he has already come in and done. We have had people are like, oh my God, it's Splinter Cell out of nowhere. It's like, no. Ghost Recon, the latest Ghost Recon game had a full-on brand new storyline that they were shelling out for Sam Fisher of a brand new villain. There is the Sam Fisher as Zero in Rainbow Six Siege. He's showing up I can't talk about that actually because it's NDA, but it's like Splinter Cell is showing up in another game that is in the works I know of, and you've already seen the trailers of it. Like I'm not breaking NDA by saying that. You've already seen, if you if you go look up the X Defiant trailers, you'll see that one of the classes is legit a third echelon class. And it showed up in what the mobile game. The mobile game. I can't remember what the hell the mobile game is called, but yeah, it showed up there too. From a tech perspective, I had to bullet down a couple of words in terms of differences. What we're doing is exploration and innovation here. We got a new engine, a new console lifecycle to take advantage of. So tech in one area that we don't want stuck in the past. Good. So Splinter Cell had a lot in the ways of not only just lighting and audio design, but they also had a lot of really cool mini games all packed through, like your hacking mini game, your lock picking mini game. You grab somebody, you can start interrogating them on the fly and everything. So that it's to see what they could do with a modern day take on that could be very cool. The phrase stealth action redefined from the original game is actually proven to be a really valuable North Star for us. That's awesome because this is exactly what they need to follow. That's the exact guidelines. Stealth first, not action. The latest Conviction, the Splinter Cell Conviction, I'm pretty sure it was called Conviction. Right. Splinter Cell Conviction was the latest one. Yes. This was cool. This was all right, but it was not the old days of Ubisoft, the old days of Splinter Cell. There was a lot of like action oriented, you're taking everyone out off from the lock on and everything. Which is all right. Where the story went to, this worked, but I feel like if they kept going in this direction, it would have gotten too over the top. This fit perfectly for him going into Rainbow's unit and starting to train guys for the breaching walls and going in stealthily and everything. So I don't have anything against Conviction. There was still a lot of stealth elements. There was still a lot of original Splinter Cell in it. It did get a little action oriented, but for the most part, it was just like it was Sam not giving a shit about the rules, and that was perfect for Conviction because he was trying to get his damn daughter back. So it's like, yeah, he's going all out. Also, he was trying to like save the U.S. I'm pretty sure, or something like that. Like the game ends at the White House and everything. So the phrase prototype, being able to prototype and innovate and test some stuff out, that's cool. That is very much in keeping us redefine what stealth action is going to feel like a modern audience. What aspect do you think are most important to update? What is the core experience that needs to be preserved? Okay, great questions. Splinter Cell was a breakthrough in stealth. As Matt mentioned, is stealth redefined with a huge focus on getting that core gameplay right above all else. That's good. So it feels like these guys are fans of the original trilogies. I guess, yeah, the original trilogy of Splinter Cell. And it's the fans making a remake. So the reason why it's a remake is because they're trying to bring it back to the original state, which is a good thing, which is a great thing. If you like the original Splinter Cell stealth, which, I mean, if you're even tuned into this video, you should, then yeah, to be a ghost, yes. It's important for us to preserve the sense of mastery by supporting players who observe the situation, make their plan, use their gadgets, and outsmart the enemy creatively to deal with the challenges they are presented with. Ideally, they end up coming out on the other side with no one having realized you were even there. Yes. So there was 2 games that were marketed like that back when Splinter Cell was originally coming out. It was Splinter Cell, SOCOM U.S. Navy SEALs. You get in, you get out, and you make no noise and make it like nobody was there. You just get the job done. Where on the other side, there was a lot of the games, like Metal Gear Solid, a lot of times, broom, and then bang, 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 CQC, drop them down, dead. And leave the bodies there. I haven't, in all honesty, I've never actually fully played through a Metal Gear Solid game, but from what I have seen and a little bit I have played, it's a lot of just run and gun and shoot them up, and the enemies being alerted. One of the things that, from my point of view, is really exciting about this project is that the last couple of games all of us have worked on have been really big worlds. What that means, economy of decisions, very spread out. Whereas what I love about Splinter Cell map is every square inch represents intentionality. Nice. Every square inch is part of a choice. Perfect. Or directly offers a choice. Okay. Yes, the ducks that you go underneath, you're climbing over the top, you hang down, grab them, choke them out and everything. You can use your cameras. You can still shoot them if you want to. You can knock them out. You can kill them. So many choices. So many different pathways to getting the mission done. Gameplay for okay, yeah, and preserving what made those early games so compelling. Recognize a huge part of the appeal of Splinter Cell is the flawless planning, execution, and satisfaction you feel when you go in and absolutely ace every encounter. Seeing your mastery put on display at the end of this thing. These guys are fans through and through. This is a perfect development team working on this. When you go through with no alarms triggered, that's a big part of the Splinter Cell experience, and we want to be sure. Yep, they're nailing every single aspect of the original Splinter Cell trilogy. It made it so fun. They're nailing right there. Splinter Cell is being remade in the Snowdrop Engine. Snowdrop is a proven modern AAA engine. It empowers content creators and programmers alike to try things quickly, see what works, and ultimately find success. And I will say, with this engine, it is very easy to mod too. So we could see possibly some really cool mods on PC. I think that's one of its major advantages. Assassin's Creed had some pretty decent community-made mods on the PC side of things. Anyways, my equivalent of that core Splinter gameplay. Some other AAA engines out there do not afford this type of iteration, Frostbite engine, necessarily, and so this is really what gives Snowdrop an edge when bringing Splinter Cell up to speed modern day. Okay. This is a very long thing to read through. Let's just get the footnotes here. Taking a step back. Background has been level design, level creation for the past 20 odd years. Okay. I mean, from what they said, like, okay, they got a decent background to them. They got what they need to. They got the core aspects of it. What is your team makeup like at this point? Are there any veterans from the past? So, I want to invite anyone who's intrigued by what we said to apply to join Toronto. So they have a very small team. That's what that's telling me. This is a small team working on a very big project. So we're not going to be seeing this game for a while. At least another 2 years. Hopefully another 3-4 years. Like, it's going to be like 2025 before you see this thing actually get completed, if they take their time and they can actually budget the game the right way. We're building a new team the same way we did when we started the studio. There are technical leadership open. Yep. Okay. Good mix of people. It's a big deal that Blacklist was the first game that ever came out of the door. It's in our DNA. Okay, this sentence right here, Blacklist. So I haven't actually fully played through Blacklist, but Sam Fisher, what I did, I played the first opening level. I was like, no. No, it's not Sam Fisher. It feels like another game with a Splinter Cell skin on it. I need to play through the whole thing though to get a full judgment, but from what I've seen of it, I didn't like it as much as the original trilogy. It's a universal quality. Oh, and Double Agent and everything too, because Double Agent was like the fourth game, if I remember. Yeah, and then we had Double Agent, we had Conviction. I think that was there was 5 Splinter Cell games with Michael Ironside. You don't get rid of them after that. It's like Devil May Cry trying to replace, or actually Hitman trying to replace Hitman. It's like Agent 47 there. Anyways, universal quality of everyone who's joined so far and everything. So they have the right ideas. I'm just very concerned about this line. It's in our DNA of Blacklist. Because Blacklist was, again, it was another action-oriented game. So is it going to be action? But everything that they're saying up here is stealth-related. So we got to see a trailer. We got to see a gameplay trailer. See what the hell their actual approach is. But I think if they go in with this mindset of stealth first, it should be, because it seems like they are fans of the old stealthful games. So again, I am optimistic on this. Beyond what we've discussed, what's more a lot of time has passed since the original Splinter Cell, and even since the last sequel. enough time to miss an entire console generation. Yes, it's been 10 years. So now we're going to take the time to explore means to us for light and shadow, for animation tech, for gameplay, AI, even audio. All that is good. We're going to ask ourselves, where does it make sense for us to innovate? What not only fits with the legacy, but brings the game to a level that, yeah, okay. All right, we'll see. We'll see what happens with this. So my quick take on the story for this, because this video is run long, and I mean, you should know it's going to run long. Splinter Cell Remake. There's a lot to unpack here. My quick take on the story that I would love to see is, okay, it's a remake. I get it. If they want to continue with the story that's already being told, so there's two different pathways that they can go: the continuing the story that they've already told, or they full-on remake where they are rebooting the series altogether. Sam Fisher is a young man, Sam Fisher old man. Two very different paths here. Sam Fisher old man, he's training his daughter to take over the mantle of, you know, the iconic 3, which is, I mean, Sam is just a Splinter Cell. He is just part of the third echelon Splinter Cell units. He is not like 007 or anything. That's the reason why he's so cool, because he is just another agent, but he's the most badass, smart ass one of them all. And that's what makes everybody relate to it. So if it's Old Man Fisher, then the one that is technically part of Rainbow Six's, you know, or the Team Rainbow, I guess it would be. He's worked with the Ghost Recon unit. He has heard of Snake being gone and dead. Or I guess he's dead. I don't know. Again, never played Metal Gear Solid. Anyways, but he, you know, him alluding to like, I'm the last one left. I feel like we could use a swan song for old man Sam Fisher, but at the same time, if this is a remake and they want to go young man Sam Fisher, then who knows where the story's going to go with it. Is he going to have a daughter? Is he working with Lambert? Is Grimm still in the picture? Like, we don't know. We have no idea. That would be flying blind with the story right there. If it's young man Sam Fisher, a full-on actual remake. Remake from the ground up that turns into more or less a remaster, which it doesn't sound like it's going to be Old Man Fisher, though. It feels like they're just going to leave that storyline as like, okay, Sam, like it's an alternate universe that they're creating here, because Sam Fisher is forever going to be part of Team Rainbow. So if they make a new young man Sam Fisher, then it kind of, I don't know how they're going to go with this. I really don't. I feel like they might try and go young man Sam Fisher and remake and retell the story that has already been there, that's already there and has been told. And then later on, we'll get a brand new game out of that with the storyline that they set up in the Ghost Recon DLC. That's probably going to be your safe bet on how they're going to do this. So anyways, we're going on almost 40 minutes. I'm going to try and wrap this up next. This is a very long Let's Talk. But very exciting news. Splinter Cell is back after 10 years. A whole console generation ago was when we were last really checking out Splinter Cell. Yeah. Let's see what they can do with next-gen technology, SSDs, the whole 9 yards like that with the audio tech, especially now that we have like PlayStation 5 has 3D audio built into it. What can they do with that? The DualSense with the audio built in. There's so many things that they can do with Splinter Cell. This is going to be nuts. I would almost, I'd almost love to see this be a PS5 exclusive, just so they can get Sony funding support for this, just to really take it off to another level. But if it's on Ubisoft storefronts, Game Pass, and all that stuff, everybody can get their hands on with it. Cool. Yeah, this is going to be something to keep an eye out for. Game Awards, E3, Summer Games Fest, whatever. Let's keep our eyes peeled for this and see what they end up doing with it. So anyways, go check out the channel for even more Let's Talks and stream replays and everything, including the stream replay I did recently of Splinter Cell on PC, where I figured out the controls were not the best, but the game actually holds up very well, of Chaos Theory. Yeah, go check all that stuff out. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for stopping by. And as always, I will see you next time.